Hey team, welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to be walking you through how to comment in Python and a little bit of tips and tricks with it. So what I have here is I have a super simple program open for us that I want to show you some commenting tips and tricks that could, help you as you go through your journey of learning Python. So here we have those three main sections of any program that we talk about, right? We have our imports of libraries, we have our defining functions, and then we have, well, where we call our functions or run them, right? So I just want to show you how we comment those out and some specific, lines of code. So however we make comments, we always use the number sign. So you hold shift and then the 3 button. So we have the number sign, and then we're going to import libraries, and you notice the text becomes green, right? That is super important. If you are making comments and your text doesn't become green, something's wrong, right? And you must make sure it becomes green, because if it's green, it means there's a comment, which means that when the code runs, right, because it runs from line 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, when it runs, if it's green, it's going to skip over it, right? So it has to be green if it's a comment, right? So I'm going to comment here where we are defining functions. And then here on line 11, I'm going to make it where we call our functions. Okay, so this is a quick review, right? We import, define, and call. Now here we don't really have to worry about making any comments, right? But I would recommend you comment as much as possible. That way you get into the practice now, because, from day to day, you may forget what you changed, you may forget what you did. Also, it might be hard to look back in your code to try and problem solve and figure out exactly where in your code you were looking at, just like when we did with blocks, but it's a little bit more difficult with a bunch of lines of text. So what I do is I like to first break these apart, right? So you see how I have my defining functions and calling functions? I skip a line here. It's just a little bit easier on my eyes. And when I'm writing my code, I also chunk that as well. Right, it's going to make everything a little bit easier. So let's just comment on a couple of lines. So hub equals prime hub, right? So we are defining our prime hub as hub, right? So these are the definitions that we come up with, or like the names we come up with. And these are what the functions we are going to be using, right? So I would always have hub equals prime hub. And then here, I'm calling the motor pair C and D as motor underscore pair, right? So I want to comment that. And really what I'm doing here is I am setting my movement motors as C and D. Right, you notice I still have my green text here. And at this line, I'm taking my motor pair, which was C and D, and I'm setting the default speed to 35. So here I'm going to set movement speed to 35. And then now where I'm calling my functions, here it's wait underscore 4 underscore seconds, and then the second that I chose is 1. So I'm waiting for 1 second. Now the next line, I am going to, again, move my motor pair, C and D. I'm going to use move tank, which again, all of this is in our knowledge base, and I will definitely go over them in further videos. But I'm moving my tank, aka moving both of my motors same direction, same time, and I'm moving it forward for 5 rotations. Right, so this is my value, and this is my unit. So here I was going to be move forward 5 rotations. And motor pair stop, well, I'm going to stop. And then this part here, right, where it says raise system exit, this is nothing you're going to find in the knowledge base. This is from actual Python, and what this is going to do, this is going to exit your program. So this is something that's a little bit different. Again, you're not going to follow it in your knowledge base, but I would always put this here just because it's going to make things run smoother for you, and you're going to be able to run your programs a little bit easier. So this should always be the last line of your code. So when you're commenting, right, you can only comment one line at a time. Right, so you can only make comments here, or you can make comments there. You can't do multiple lines unless you put multiple number signs, and that's totally fine. You're more than welcome to do that. You just can't do one comment like call functions and then hope it carries over to the next line, right? It has to stay green. Now, what is super helpful / important, right? Let's just say that after stop, right, I try to do another motor underscore pair, and then again it'd be move underscore tank. And let's just say I wanted to have it go forward for 1 rotation. Right? Say as I'm going through, right, I'm having trouble on this line of the code. What you can do, if you are working, if you put a number sign before one of your functions, it's going to think that's a comment. So what you can actually do is, instead of in the block coding just unconnecting different blocks and keeping it over to the side, you can make comments in front of your functions, and then it will skip or ignore that line of code. And then when you're ready to add it back in, just get rid of the number sign and it'll come back. Right? It really helps you problem solve and remember some things. And also what you can do is, say it's towards the end of the period and you're trying to figure out, like, there's a certain area you were working on, just go to the end of the code, add a couple of lines in, put a comment, and just say, you know, left off working on the 2nd line of orchard. Need to change the angle of turn by, I don't know, 0.25 rotations. And then you can make sure you save it, and it'll be there for you tomorrow to help problem solve. Alright, I know this was a little bit lengthy of a video, but hopefully it helps, and good luck.